moving across the world from Iran to Ukraine to California to here, like I've always been hyper aware of fashion because the way that people dress, like for like the biggest example, and it was so early in my life, from Iran to Ukraine, from a Muslim country to a Christian country, completely different, right? People are like wearing hijab and like covering themselves, and then you go into a new country and people are dressing completely differently, and then you're like, what is okay, what is not okay, you know, what looks good, what's acceptable, like all those things that I had to evaluate so early in life.
Welcome to Seriously Catherine, a podcast about taking your business seriously, but not yourself. Hey everyone, so this week's hot take, I know it has been a hot minute, so I'm gonna really dig into this. It's all about Taylor Swift. Newsflash, I mean, maybe you're not surprised, but I just got back from Europe. I went to France to see Taylor Swift. Yes, it's extreme. It's super quote unquote bougie, even though it's much cheaper to go to France than it is to see her in America. But I am so glad I did it. I actually encourage you or implore you to go look for tickets in Europe, to not just even Taylor Swift, go to any concert in Europe. France specifically, I can really only speak about France, but it was so much cheaper. It was so amazing. Like I can't even articulate in words to describe how incredible this experience was. People that say French people or Parisian people are rude to Americans, that is not true. It is not true. People were so nice to us. It could have been because we had children. That maybe could be why they were so nice to us, but they were so nice to us. They do things better in France. Like you go to a restaurant, they're not trying to rush you out of the restaurant like they do in America. They are like wanting you to enjoy yourself. They're wanting you to spend time, relax. You have the table for the whole evening. They don't do tips. It's just, the wait staff was amazing. The food was amazing. And no, mom, dad, Garrett, I did not just eat French fries the whole time in France. I ate foie gras, salmon puffs, charcuterie, cheese, so much cheese, champagne, but it was just the most incredible experience. The girls had an amazing time. Like Ruby kind of teared up a little bit at one point, but like they were just like living their best lives, and I was just beaming with pride to have been able to give them this experience, give myself this experience. And I mean, not to mention, I don't know, maybe I already mentioned this, but like everything was so much cheaper in France. Like for all of us to go out to eat, it was so much cheaper. Everything was cheaper, like amazing. I mean, I'm now starting to really look into what it would take for me to move there. And I don't know that it would take much. I've already moved there in my mind. Anyway, that is my hot take. If you hear nothing more from this hot take other than to move to France, then there you have it. I want to talk about you and all of the amazing things that you are working on. You just became a mom recently.
Yes.
And so what's been really cool for me is you came into the palette community, and I feel like right when you joined, you were an accountant, right? You were like bookkeeping accountant, you were doing taxes, and you were dabbling in the fashion, you were dabbling in the styling, and you were trying to find your footing on like how you could do both of these things at the same time, or you were sort of contemplating jumping ship and just like doing the styling, right? And so tell us sort of how, I mean, you've just come through like this evolution and multiple iterations of your business and yourself. And so it's been such a wild ride for me to be a part of that, just on the sidelines cheering you on. But tell us a little bit about like how you came into the palette community and what how it's impacted you.
I mean, yeah, it's been such a journey, right? I think it's been almost like 4 years now. Yeah, so when I first started, I had just started my first business, the accounting. I was out here, I was new to the area, and I was looking for a community. I was looking for people that I can relate to, and I found you guys. And then I was like, yeah, but I really, really love fashion. Like, I don't know, like, I just want to do something in that area. I will never forget this. And Marcella was like, you know how you do both? You just do it. Okay, she told me. So I went on and I was like, okay, so I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to just figure out a way that I can do them, because that is also a testament to you and to the palette community. It's just that little bit of just extra support from other women like really made me feel like I can go after what I really want to do, you know? Taxes and accounting and finances is something that I started doing like since I was young, and I was like, and that was like a way that I found a career for myself. And there's a certain love and passion that I have for that. But fashion and like styling, like that is where my heart is just like full. And then that's where I started to like really start figuring it out. And it started small. It started with like, of course, like I was afraid, you know, because taxes and accounting, like that's like finance world is always so stable, right? The fashion world, we hear about how a lot of people start, they don't make a lot of money for a long time. And I was like, I want to have a family. So there's like a lot that goes into it. So little by little, I found my way where I am now. This year, I finally made the decision to start winding down my accounting business and go into styling full time. So I've been like you said, dabbled in it. And then I started doing it kind of like part time. And then I started taking it more seriously, got a lot of education, hired a coach. I started getting a lot of good feedback. So now I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to like really fully go for it. And I've had to grow so much myself throughout this whole thing, because every time that I find a new version of myself, I am just like, okay, I want to express that through like the way that I dress, right?
Yeah.
If you look at how I was dressing like 4 years ago when we first met, it's very buttoned up, very like accountant, like, you know, like very professional, right? And, you know, it was who I was at that time. But now that I'm embracing and really going after this business that I really want to do, now I'm dressing completely differently too. And I used to like wear heels all the time. Now it's like sneakers. Like,
yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. I mean, even just like yesterday, I was at this event for a business showcase for UAlbany, and one of the questions they asked me is, you know, what's my take on professionalism and how do I echo professionalism in my business? And you know, I think that people interchange professionalism with respect. And it's like, you can still, like, I had a unicorn sweater on yesterday. Everyone else is wearing, you know, suits, like super professional, like business attire. And I just don't look at myself as that aesthetic, you know? I'm like, I want to be able to see myself I want people to see themselves in me as a leader in the community. And I think using fashion and using style helps me do that. So I think that you can still be respectful in what you're wearing and wearing bright colors and having fun with your wardrobe and still show up and be professional and be a serious businesswoman, but not take yourself so seriously, right? So I think that you do that such a great way. Even when you say you dressed more professionally, you still had style. I mean, you still like paired some of the coolest outfits together and lots of color. You know, maybe the heels were a major thing that is not there anymore. But you certainly still had the style, and it showed through your wardrobe.
Thank you. Yeah, I always try to show a little bit of personality with my style, because I just feel like, I mean, that's just who I've been forever. Like, yeah. That's a way for me to express myself, because I'm not great with my words, you know, I'm not great with a lot of things, but when it comes to like showing who I am through my style, that's what I can do.
I'm going to like push back on you here, because you really have shown up more so on social media and using your voice and being like in front and center, like on camera, to really communicate what you're doing and what you're all about. And I've noticed that even right after you had the baby, I thought you were going to take a little hot minute break, and you were like, oh no, we're still talking about how I am, you know, newly postpartum and I'm having to get dressed. And it's like, all that was resonated with me, at least, even though I didn't have a baby at the time. But like, you know, it's just like you were still doing it and showing up and communicating quite clearly.
That's part of the self-growth that I've had to do, because I've been so afraid of like being on camera. I've been like so afraid of talking, but that's the part of thing that I have to like push myself to do, you know, and be able to show up. It's been a great thing for me personally, because I also feel like showing up, you have to also like be comfortable with being honest. It's hard to be really honest about things that are personal and like like it feels very vulnerable, you know? So that's like something that I've also had to like learn to grow and like be able to like do that. And yeah, and then manifest itself through like clothing too, right? Like it's like, I love looking professional and like having fun with that, you know? And I love challenging the professional look a little bit. Showing personality is like completely different.
Well, and like, let's talk about confidence. I'm sure you've noticed this in some of the clients that you've worked with. Like, you can see how they just emit like confident energy when they're dressed appropriately to their personality, or they're wearing something that they feel good in. And I'm sure you've had the growth of yourself, like through others, right? Like when you're watching these women, and I'm sure you work with men too, like transform their whole vibe based on what they're wearing. That's got to translate to you as well.
I have to really pay attention to them, right? And sometimes I can see they are going for something because it's the right thing, or sometimes because it's the thing that they want, you know? And it's really like the sparkle in their eyes, the smile in their face. This thing, it works so much better for you because it makes you like have that smile, have that confidence, and like, you know, like it. And I have to be able to like really see that and help people discover that, because not everyone is comfortable like showing personality. Women feel like they have to dress in a way that is like powerful and buttoned up, and you know, like I was talking about this with a few friends. Like honestly, like I used to think it was a weakness to like talk about your child, bring your child to the work environment. Like anything child related in the work environment felt like a weakness. But now, because I felt like I was in that masculine energy of the finance world. But now where I'm working with a lot of women, I'm around a lot of supporting women, a lot of women in business, like it's a completely different energy. And now it's like, we're like, yeah, bring your kid. Like my clients are like, bring your kid over.
Yeah.
Like we're on the Zoom call and everybody is like, we want to see your kids. But he's like, you know, up and like, I just need to hold him while being on a Zoom call. No one has a problem with that.
Right.
And it just feels so amazing. And it's just like, we're complete people. We're not just like this one thing that shows up to work and it's like, yes, 2 + 2 = 4. And all right, we're done. We have all this thing, like everything around us. And so I think maybe it's not that it's male dominated, it's just the masculine energy. I think.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the corporate world, a lot of the finance world, they want you to just be a worker and just be that, you know?
Yeah. Well, and conform.
Yeah.
Which doesn't my forte. I like to disrupt.
Right.
and create a lot of attention and energy around a thing that I am passionate about. So it's hard for me to be passionate about finance or corporate structure. So I've always sort of been challenged in those ecosystems.
No, I totally feel that. Yeah. And that's what makes you awesome. And that's what brought me here. You know, that energy is what brought me here. That energy is what a lot of people love to like see, because it's like it's a completely different energy, and just being around someone's energy can be so powerful.
Well, I also feel too, I don't know that many people really understand what palette is or what it does for a person. And I think you're such a great example of when you joined, you didn't really know what you were going to do, right? Like you had some, you know, sort of ideas and thoughts around, you know, doing more fashion styling. Like what would that look like? Are you a coach? Are you a consultant? You know, so we sort of like you joined and then it just took on a life of its own. And honestly, we can't really take that much credit other than being this support system for you and sort of repeating back to you what you already knew inside.
Yeah, but that's so important too, right? Like that's why you hire coaches kind of too. Sometimes you're not learning anything new from a coach, but it's just having someone kind of repeat back to you what you already know, or giving you a new perspective, a different way of looking at things, right? It has a huge impact because the things that you hear daily, the things that you tell yourself daily, right? The doubts that you put into your mind, they manifest in a real way. If you believe that you're awesome and you can do anything, you're going to be able to do anything. But if you're like, it doesn't matter, then it's not going to matter.
Right. No, I mean, it's so true.
Moving across the world from Iran to Ukraine to California to here, like I've always been hyper aware of fashion because the way that people dress, like for example, like the biggest example, and it was so early in my life, from Iran to Ukraine, from a Muslim country to a Christian country, completely different, right? People are like wearing hijab and like covering themselves, and then you go into a new country and people are dressing completely differently, and then you're like, what is okay, what is not okay, you know, what looks good, what's acceptable, like all those things that I had to evaluate so early in life. And then again, moving again, and it wasn't like a drastic change of a Muslim country to a Christian country, but it was still, the style was so completely different. Like, and I was young and I was in school and I was like, what do the cool kids wear, you know? So then I became very hyper aware of it. I used the way of that I dressed to fit in as a young child, right? And then eventually I realized I was trying to fit in too much. Okay, we gotta change this a little bit. Like, I want to now, instead of like trying to fit in and being like everybody else, I want to learn who I am, and I want to like bring that out and just be okay with who I am and not have to like conform to like other people's standards, other people's wants and needs for me. It's been a life journey for sure, you know, like I'm still, every day I'm learning, every day I'm growing. But yeah, that's been how I've become hyper aware, that I've always been super like into learning about fashion. Like, and then when I became serious about styling, I did school of style. I've done a lot of like training within the styling world, just try to learn. I mean, I think one of my favorite people to learn from is Anna Wintour. The person that I have learned so much from for my business her name is Lauren Messiah. Fashion icons. I love Kim Kardashian. I know a lot of people don't love her, but I love Kim Kardashian mostly because she's Armenian. So like, I felt like it was someone that looked like me, that like represented the people where I am from, and I was like, oh, I can see someone that like looks like me and like is in this world. And
she certainly owns her personality and you know, all the stigma, I guess, that comes with it. I just can't get over how she can translate. Like, she can be like this curvy, vivacious body and style, and then she has also done like the skinny look too. Like, I don't know how she, like, I don't know, I can't be that versatile. If I walked in here with like a business suit on, you'd be like, what's happening?
What's wrong?
You know, but she like went to law school and she started like you know, living that life, and so her style is very versatile.
She does it well, right? For a lot of people too, like, it's not that like, oh, I can't wear certain things, like I can't be versatile. It's like a lot of people will tell me like, oh, I can't wear a suit, you know. Once you find the right suit that like, you know your style, you know who you are, and then you find that piece that like, it's like like, I feel like for you, like I could see you in like a bright green suit for some reason.
Yeah, like, I like green.
Yeah, so like a bright green suit with like a really cool details on it, you know, maybe a shirt that's like more casual, so then it's like the suit is balanced with the casualness.
Yeah.
And maybe sneakers.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think for her too, like, it's like if you look at everything that she wears, you can see she has a personal style, even if she is wearing a gown to the Met Gala one day to wearing like sweatpants and sneakers. She has her personal style, right? Life is constantly moving and changing, you know, and sometimes we want to stay in a certain period, but so I think that what is style? Right? What is style? Style is something that comes from within you. Your style is who you are. How do you find your style? Well, first thing that you got to do is figure out who you are. What are you doing every day? What are the things that you're reaching for and wearing every day, and why? Like I said, I'm wearing sneakers, right? I like how sneakers look, yes, but it also is giving me a practical purpose. I can carry heavy things. I can walk with my child. I can, like, I have like things back to back today, you know, like I can be comfortable, but still like I want to look in a way that is put together, right? Like, I like color, so then I'm wearing like colors, and I wear a white sneaker because it helps to like make this look good. When I put people through my transformation journey, when we start working together, first week is just discovery. It's just sitting back and paying attention to what's going on in your life, and again, why you're wearing the things you're wearing, and how can your wardrobe better support your life. So a lot of it comes from just practicality, right? What's practical for you? And then what feels good for you. If I wear just a black blazer that's boring, I'm probably not going to feel that good, you know?
In my life these days, like my phone is my wallet and keys. That's like all I ever really need on my person if I'm not carrying my bag with my computer and all that stuff with it. So I need pockets.
That's something that you have identified, and that's something that's important to you. So then you're going to find a blazer that has cool pockets, that has room, right? Just the normal everyday things, but then getting really intentional about noticing those things and then being like, okay, I've identified this is what works for me, this is what I need, and I love it when it looks like this. That's how you find your style. And that does change throughout life, and we have to be flexible with that. And then also like finding inspiration. That's like the second week of like when I put people through my transformation. Second week is finding inspiration, and inspiration can be anything around you, right? Or you can look up celebrities, how they dress, someone that like you admire. You can also step outside, and right now it's spring and there's a lot of flowers blooming and there's a lot of bright colors, right? That's a big inspiration for me because I love flowers.
Do you make any clothes? Like, do you do any sewing or?
I mean, I do a little bit of sewing for myself, but that's about it. I used to be a lot more into sewing. I just haven't had the time, but.
'Cause you're a new mom.
Yeah.
How has that shifted your life? I mean, and like thrown it on its head. Have you felt like it's really inspired a new direction for your business?
For sure. Like I said, like this year I've made the decision to wind down my accounting business, and that has a lot to do with it. Now, it's not because of him, because I have wanted to do that for a while. I just have been, like creating the path for myself. But like this year I was like, I definitely have to put a lot of time for my baby, and I want to do all those things, and those are going to take time. So I have to be realistic about how much time I can spend, so then I'm not frustrated. I'm not coming to him as like a frustrated mom, like I want to be a happy mom. And
Me too.
That's part of the reason why I was like, okay, so I have to like think about what are the things that I can take out of my time, and then what are the things that I want to make time and space for.
Yeah.
And that also like made me realize, again, like I really want to like embrace my feminine energy. I want to lean more into my femininity, and all of that together. Then I was like, okay, I think I have to make that decision. And also like at the same time, really go for it. Like don't be like, okay, I'm going to close this business. I'm afraid I'm going to like be wishy-washy with the other thing I'm doing. Really go for it. Like make time and space and just go after it. And I also want to be able to tell him like, you can do whatever you want to do in life. I really want to like actually like make it happen. Now, of course, it took time, but like once I do actually make the transition, I can be like, hey, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, well, I think, for me personally, I learn best by doing it. And I think seeing your son seeing you go after your dreams and make them your reality, and not just talking about it or saying you want to do something, but you're actually doing it, you're taking the action, is so incredible for him to witness. And I think it's gonna make such an impact for him to see you going after it. And I'm so excited. I mean, I think becoming a mom to daughters, especially for me, was a huge catalyst for me to say, you know what? The hell with this. I'm flipping the script. I'm going to do what I want to do, what I feel called to do. And if it fails, then, no one's going to be able to say I didn't try my damnedest to make it happen. So I think that is a huge sort of turning point for me, when I was like, okay, I don't want my girls growing up thinking to themselves, well, I put my everything on the line for my kids. I want them to see that I was able to still go after my goals, feel fulfilled with my work, and also feel fulfilled with being their mom. So I think that happens a lot for women when they become moms. They're like, oh my God, I'm like this living role model for these little people, and I really need to do the damn thing at this point. Obviously, mental health plays such a huge role on this, and being able to wake up in the morning and give your best can be very difficult as a new mom. Anyone listening that may be contemplating pivoting or changing course in their career or their business or their life, what sort of tips or feedback, insight do you have for them, having just decided this for yourself?
One is really go for it. 2, get support. I think actually those are the 2 biggest things. Really go for it and get support. Oh, also, support doesn't mean anybody will do anything for you. You still got to do it,
Right.
Like support is great, it's amazing, but you have to do the work, and you cannot blame anyone for anything that doesn't work out for you about yourself.
Yeah, so getting support is also getting accountability, right? Like when I told people what I was working on and then people supported me as in like, yeah, we validate this idea, you go for it. I had to go for it. You know, I had to take the action to demonstrate what it is that my work was, right? And what people were investing in and supporting. And I think that that's a huge part of it. I think that a lot of times if you set this a big audacious goal, but you keep it to yourself and you don't tell anybody, it's much harder to get off the ground and it's much harder to keep going. So I found like it's more difficult to quit when everybody around you knows what you're trying to accomplish and they're supporting you. You know, you feel like you're not just giving up on yourself, which I think some people are okay with doing. They're like, you know, oh, this didn't work out and no one ever really knew about it but me and I've just let myself down, but they don't want to let other people down, right? So like I'm a people pleaser. So if I tell you I'm going to do something or I'm going to show up to something, I have to do it because I have to show up for you. Anyway, my point is like the support piece is also accountability. And if you're getting support, making sure that that support is accountability, not just, oh, go girl. But it's like, it's go girl. Okay, what do we need to do to get this moving forward? So that encouragement as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And finding community is like easy but hard today, right? Like it's just like
frauds.
A lot of
there's frauds.
I was gonna say a lot of options. Like, I mean, a lot of them aren't great, you know? If you're a woman starting a business in the capital region, you gotta be a part of a palette. This is like, you did not tell me to say this, but I'm telling you the energy here. It's where it's at. So.
And you don't necessarily show up to Palette every day. I mean, we have a digital community, we have our app, but a lot of people think it's co-working and that, oh, I don't need a co-working space, I don't need an office, or maybe I'm just like, I'm working on a side hustle, I don't really need that. But you're saying you do need that. And even if you're not here physically, you know, what is it that keeps you engaged and keeps you going?
Yeah, I don't show up every day. I'm more of like, I come to events, I meet people, and then we talk through like the app or social media or something like that. But this is a place where I know there's people that are thinking like me, that are like me, and I can talk to them.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. Come back next time with the baby.
Yes.
But it was so lovely to catch up with you and share what you're working on and how you're doing it all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me so much.
Yay.
So if you want to find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Atena Crain. That's my name. And and just from there, we can get chatting.
Yeah, slide into Atena's DMs.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, this week we're coming back from a very big weekend. Belmont was in Saratoga Springs, and I have things to say. First and foremost, there was this amazing band, Blues Traveler. I don't know if you heard of them, but they came to Saratoga and they performed on Broadway. The city like blocked off the streets, and it was the most incredible experience. I think I saw every single person I've ever known in Saratoga Springs in the last 15 years that night, because everyone showed up to just be in community. It was just the most amazing experience. And so I'm super proud of Saratoga. I'm super proud of all the people. I'm not going to point out that maybe my kid was trampled at one point, because anyway, let's just leave that out. I don't want to focus on the negative. It was an incredible turnout for the city of Saratoga Springs. All the locals showed up, and I tip my hat to you. So then the next day was Thursday, was the first day of Belmont in Saratoga Springs. That's actually the only day that I went to the track, and it was super cool. It was cool to be at the track when it wasn't track season. I definitely noticed there was a lot of news presence on Broadway, and that was really cool. I just think our city, our little town, our little city was put on the national stage, and I'm just so proud of Saratoga because you guys showed up. And now I'm sort of antsy because I'm so ready for track season to start. I'm ready to go. That is all I have to say about Saratoga and the Belmont and the horsies and the ponies. Thank you for listening to this podcast. And if you want to connect with me, slide into my DMs on Instagram. My handle is Catherine Hover.